Look at the camera, but don't be weird. Don't.
Chris, I don't know how to not be weird. Okay. I'm gonna get anxious. I'm gonna overcorrect, and it's gonna come off creepy. My Salinger year. A college grad takes a clerical job working for the literary agent of the renowned reclusive writer J.D. Salinger. This movie was good. This was one of those that it's kind of refreshing to see it like this, because Chris didn't see it. Seth and I saw it.
We saw it at an AARP screening for grown-ups.
AARP screening. But
How old are you
we'll do
guys?
this every now and then, and it's kind of refreshing.
Into it.
I don't know about Seth. I knew nothing about this movie. I knew who was in it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's nice sometimes to go in with completely zero expectation. But yeah, I really liked this movie. It was really good.
I thought it was fine. I think I like everyone in it. The story is interesting. It's based off a book. Just kind of lazy filmmaking.
So who's in it?
Sigourney Weaver. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Margaret Qualley's also in it. Margaret Qualley was in. Her big break was the Tarantino movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You may not recognize her face, but you'll recognize her feet. Is it?
I got you.
Quentin Tarantino's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just made me sound creepy though.
Yeah. We got it. They'll get it.
She's also Andy McDowell's daughter.
Oh, I
And I
didn't know
love
that.
me some Andy McDowell.
Wow.
And Andy McDowell's been doing horror lately. Like she was in, what was that movie with Samara Weaving, the Bride movie, Ready or Not? She was a mom in that.
Yeah.
I like that. Anyways, but yeah, so this movie, I don't know, it's like boring, like maybe a good Sunday morning watch for people who are interested in literature. So if you don't care about reading, or if you don't care about like academia, which this isn't like a smart movie, don't get me wrong, like it hints at it, and it's like on the precipice of that, but you really aren't going to care if you're not into literature. But I mean, like, so it appealed to that part of me, like like the book nerd that is somewhat there, but then like a lot of stuff I just don't care. Like it was just a boring story. Like the side characters were annoying. It's like The Devil Wears Prada light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except for it's not as mean. Like Sigourney Weaver's not a mean person, but I don't know. It's fine. It is aggressively fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting watch. So it's based off a book. Is any of it? It's based off a true story, right? Or is it just based off?
No, it's a true story. It's based off a true story.
That's what I thought. See, that's what made it kind of interesting to me, was kind of watching her, because like literary agent, I didn't even know what that was. So to me, it was interesting to like find out what that entails and how she deals with this, amazing writer J.D. Salinger, who wrote Catcher in the Rye, and like the weird fandom that comes with it. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I will say, which you talked about this, Margaret Qualley's boyfriend, played by Douglas Booth, is the most unlikable character I've seen in a while.
Almost as bad as Anne Hathaway's boyfriend in Devil Wears Prada. Like they're the exact same character.
They are very, very similar. Yeah.
But Douglas Booth is like very attractive. Like he's a very attractive man, and he played like Romeo in Romeo and Juliet recently.
Oh.
And he is not like, I don't know what they did to him, but he looks like never mind. It's just he did not look attractive in this.
He kept calling her Booba. It was so weird.
Oh. There's some awful things that happen in this movie that you would just cringe.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's some more white people shit. Like, this is white people shit.
I was going to say, that's what this movie sounds like. This sounds like pretentious white people shit.
But see, my favorite movie of all time deals with a lot of, like, pretentious white people shit, like academia and, like, composers and stuff like that. And I like the nerdy shit in movies and stuff. But sometimes it's just fine. I called it like a saltine cracker version of The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to describe it. Like you said, the more you talk about it, the more you start seeing the similarities. She has a boss who's kind of mean. She's in a world she maybe doesn't understand. Her boyfriend's kind of a jerk. Like it definitely tracks.
Yeah. But it's also a true story, so you have to give it a little bit of leniency in that
Right.
when comparing it to something else. But like as far as a movie goes, like you would see this on Hallmark, except for there's F words all the time, which come out of nowhere. It feels like I'm like, oh, and obviously I don't care. Like I have to bleep out like 20 fucking F words in this.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one, 21. But I don't know. It's fine. Don't watch it.
I just think I liked it so much because it's one of those you go in with zero expectation. Any goodness in it, you're like, oh hey, look at that. You know what I mean? You're surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we would have done research, watched trailers, found out who's in it, really, like we normally do, and then watched it, I probably wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah, I didn't watch a trailer before.
Well, what about the production side? How does it look? How's the
It looks like
cinematography?
a
How does it
Hallmark
sound?
movie.
Yeah, I mean, it
all,
looks
all
fine.
around.
Wow.
I would say there's no shots that are like, wow, breathtaking.
No, there was one point. She was outside of a building, and I'm like, what?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like, why is
yeah.
this framed so well all of a
Yeah.
sudden?
Well, and I don't think this is that scene in the hotel.
There's a fantasy scene.
Right.
In it.
Yeah.
There's like a fantasy
which
dance scene.
Is kind of it's surprising because none of the movie doesn't build up to it at all.
Like, so the director got some education. They just,
Right. And then it kind of comes out of nowhere, and then as quick as it's there, it's gone, and nothing like that happens again. So that's kind of cool.
What did, I don't know any of those movies.
I say that. I guess there's a few more fantasy scenes towards the end.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't want to think about this movie ever again. I don't hate it. If it came on again, I would turn off the TV. But it's not bad. It's just fine.
So how much like fiction in this compared to like Billie Holiday?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about this person's life.
Just from watching the movie and guessing,
It felt
other
real.
than the fantasy scenes, it seems pretty. I mean, there's nothing super outlandish that happens that you would make you think maybe they wrote it in there just to bump the movie, pump up the movie. It all seems pretty real. I mean,
I will say my biggest problem with this movie is that it feels like it's supposed to be about her acting like J.D. Salinger and like writing these letters to people, like because she's not allowed to respond to them or to even give them to J.D. Salinger because he won't respond. So she writes some for him because she feels bad, but it really barely touches on that. But it feels like that's the point of the movie. Like that's
Right.
the big, like core problem, and it's like well, whatever. We'll talk about it sometimes.
and then it'll kind of start building on that, and then it'll like randomly shift and be like, oh hey, what about her boyfriend's novel? And you're like, what? Why are we talking about this now? What about all her stuff? Like,
Well, and it also like makes a weird choice, like not to show him, like it just like shows his profile or you hear his
like
voice.
ever?
Yeah, and it's like not like it's J.D. Salinger, like it's not like this giant, huge person. You know what I mean?
right.
It treats him like royalty.
It's definitely a big fan of J.D. Salinger. I mean, they treat him like he's a god almost.
And I know I've seen that in a film before where it doesn't show somebody, but they're like there, and it works there, and I cannot think of what it is. But it's like do that with like Jesus in a movie, and it makes sense.
I was this is completely off. It's on a new tangent, but I was watching recently Doctor Who. I'm going through that show. And there is a point where Barack Obama is like on TV. So what they did was they would clip Barack Obama's voice in, like his actual voice, and they would show him on the TV, but it would show only behind him. And it was his head, but it did not look anything like him.
Well,
Yeah.
I know I was watching, I was like, what is this? They're using Obama's voice on this clearly not Obama guy. And they showed him from the front one time, and he was like going, oh God.
Haven't they done that before though? I want to say that's like a running gag because I think they've done it with like Nixon too.
On Doctor Who?
On Doctor Who, that you see Nixon talking, but all you see is behind him, and
I don't know.
he's just talking.
I'm not very far in Doctor Who, so I didn't know
Yeah, I'm
Nixon's
pretty sure it's kind of a running gag that they do that with like, I don't know if it's just presents, but like really, 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 really big people. They never
So-
really show them.
This should have done what Doctor Who did with Winston Churchill. They go full on.
They
showing
do go
Winston
full on with Winston
It's
Churchill.
hilarious
Interesting.
with aliens and shit. It's hilarious. This movie needed aliens.
Well, so
The
the one I
Daleks.
was thinking of is Veep. Veep never shows the president, and like Julia Louis-Dreyfus will walk in the room and she's like, "Sue, did the president call?" And that's a gag always. She's like, "No, the president never calls because she's the vice president.
Yeah.
No one cares." But it's funny and it works in a situation like that, and you don't see him the entire series.
Well, I guess it kind of does that. You see him walking across a field.
Who?
J.D. Salinger.
You're in the same room with him.
Oh,
you
okay.
see his entire profile. You see him from across the room. You see him multiple times. You just don't see his face. It's stupid. It just does not work. Maybe if this movie had a little more depth or like grandeur,
Or
with
some
it.
aliens.
Or some alien,
Or some aliens. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been something.
Someone call the Daleks. Get them in here.
But yeah, this movie's fine. You want to do scores?
I gave it a 73.
You give it a 68. Our number is 71. Maybe that's too high. I don't know. It's fine. Maybe you should be too high when you watch it. Bye.